I never imagined that freezing in the doorway of our old ranch house. Watching Aunt Louise tuck Mom's silver locket into her coat pocket with that smug grin would push me over the edge. Dad just shrugged it off, muttering something about not stirring up trouble. But he didn't get it. That locket was all I had left of her. A tiny piece of warmth in a world that had gone cold. Right then, something snapped inside me. A quiet rage that whispered I couldn't let this slide anymore. But revenge? It wasn't just about getting even. It was about reclaiming what was mine. Proving I wasn't the fragile girl they all thought. Deep down, though, I wrestled with the hurt. Why did family have to feel like a battlefield? My name's Sarah Jenkins, and I've spent most of my 28 years learning that blood ties don't guarantee kindness. It all traces back to when I was 6, the year Mom passed from that damn cancer, leaving our family scattered like dust in the Montana wind. We lived on a modest ranch outside Bozeman, the kind with wide-open fields and mountains hugging the horizon. But after she was gone, it felt more like a prison than a home. Dad, Tom Jenkins, ran a feed store in town. The type of guy who buried his grief in ledgers and long hours, convinced showing emotion was a sign of weakness. My little brother Ethan and I were left to fend for ourselves in that big, echoing house. But Aunt Louise, Dad's older sister, made sure we weren't truly alone. She lived just down the gravel road on her own plot, and she'd barge in like she owned the place, her boots thumping on the worn pine floors, always with that judgmental stare. "You're just being dramatic again, Sarah," she'd say whenever I dared to speak up about feeling sad or scared. If I complained of a headache, she'd scoff and tell Dad I was faking it for attention. One time, when I was 9, I came home from school burning up with fever, my skin hot as a branding iron. The teacher had called Dad, but he was out on a delivery, so Louise picked me up. She barely glanced back at me in her pickup truck, grumbling about kids these days always finding excuses. At home, she didn't bother with a thermometer or even a glass of water, just told me to quit the theatrics and sent me to bed. I lay there shivering for 2 days until our neighbor, old Mr. Harlan, noticed me through the window and brought over some aspirin and broth. Mom, Emily, had been different. In my fuzzy memories, she smelled like fresh hay and wildflowers, her hugs wrapping around me like a quilt. She'd listen when I said I hurt, never doubting me. But Louise? She chipped away at that trust, convincing Dad that I was too soft, too needy after Mom's coddling. Inside, I screamed. Why couldn't they see I was just a kid missing her mom? But I learned to swallow it, to question my own pain. "Toughen up, girl," Dad would echo Louise, his voice flat as the prairie. When I won a ribbon for my drawing at the county fair, a sketch of our ranch at sunset, he'd pat my head once before saying I was fine, but I should focus on real skills, like helping with the books. Ethan, 3 years younger, tried to be my ally. He'd sneak into my room at night, whispering, "I know it hurts, sis," when I'd cry into my pillow. But he was small, too, and the burden of being my only believer weighed on him like a heavy saddle. The ranch itself seemed to echo their dismissal. The old barn where Mom used to read to us lost its magic. The wildflower patch she planted overgrown and forgotten under Louise's practical weeding. By high school, I'd mastered hiding everything. I pushed through stomach cramps without a word, saved my tears for alone time in the hayloft. My emotions poured into my notebooks, doodles of worlds where moms didn't die and daughters mattered. My art teacher, S. Valdez, pulled me aside once after seeing a drawing of a girl lost in a storm, family shadows turning away. "Sarah, talk to me if something's wrong," she said, her concern real. I wanted to spill it all, the constant doubt, the invalidation, but the word stuck.
I'm okay, he lied.
The habit ingrained. This was my life, a foundation cracked by dismissed grief, where love meant being invisible, and missing mom was a flaw to fix. Leaving for college felt like breaking free. I loaded my beat-up Ford truck and headed to Denver, a graphic design program at the university calling my name. It was a 4-hour drive from Bozeman, but it might as well have been across an ocean. My tiny dorm room became my haven. I splashed the walls with mountain-inspired blues, hung my sketches, and let plants thrive on the windowsill. For the first time, I could admit when I was down without judgment. That's where I met Mia Gonzalez, a fellow student with a quick wit and zero tolerance for isolation. She spotted me sketching in the cafeteria and plopped down with her tacos. "That's killer work," she said. "And you look like you need a buddy." Her straightforwardness disarmed me, and soon we were sharing late-night talks over cheap beer. I tested the waters. Mentioning my migraines, she didn't dismiss me. Instead, she shared tips from her own experiences. "They're no joke. Let me know if you need notes from class." That simple belief hit hard. I excused myself to the bathroom, tears streaming as years of doubt cracked. Back at the table, Mia just squeezed my hand and shifted to chatting about our next project. Over 4 years, I bloomed, designs earning praise, professors valuing my input. When I graduated and landed a job at a Denver ad firm, it felt like validation. I dated a bit, a photographer named Luke, for months, teaching me trust. A writer, Alex, showing me healthy arguments where feelings weren't weapons. Family contact faded to holidays and calls. I drive back for Christmas, enduring Louise's jabs about my artsy life and Dad's distant questions. But distance let me see the patterns: Louise dominating, Dad enabling, even extended kin tiptoeing around her. My Denver apartment was my refuge. Mia and I starting weekly hikes where we'd unpack life over trail mix. She knew it all by then: the gaslighting, the theft of my voice. "That's straight-up emotional abuse," she said one day, pausing on a ridge. Neglect scars deep. The word abuse jolted me. No visible marks, but the internal wounds were real. Therapy with Dr. Reyes helped unpack it. My sensitivity a strength, not a curse. By 28, I'd built something solid. Awards at work, friends who saw me, a life where I mattered. Then the layoff email hit like a Montana blizzard. The firm was restructuring. Our major client bailed, taking half the revenue. My boss, Carla, called me in, eyes tired. "Sarah, your work's stellar, but they're cutting the design team." 2 weeks' notice. A glowing reference, but the job market was brutal, flooded with talent from shuttered agencies. Savings dwindled fast. Denver rent had skyrocketed. Unemployment barely covered ramen. Mia offered her couch, but she was dealing with her dad's heart issues. After months of no's, I stared at my $1,800 balance and swallowed pride. Calling Dad felt like defeat. "I need to crash at home for a bit," I said, voice tight. Silence stretched. "The guest cabin's empty. Stay there till you sort things." Not welcome home, but the old hunting cabin out back, separate from the main house. At least it'd give space. "Louise figures it'll teach you grit," he added. "Maybe rethink that creative gig." I bit back anger. "Thanks, Dad." Driving back to Bozeman rewound my progress, each mile heavier. The cabin was basic: wood stove, creaky bed, faint musty scent, but mine for now. Louise showed up quick, key in hand I didn't know about. "Well, life's finally kicking your butt," she said, eyeing my boxes. "Art's no way to make it. I know a gal at the feed store needing a clerk. I'm job hunting in design, I shot back. She chuckled.
Sharp.
At your age? Be real.
Sarah.
Drop the dreams. Dinner that night was torture, Dad droning on about grain prices, Louise mapping my fix-up plan like I was a stray dog. Ethan was off at Montana State. Spared the show. They talked over me, assuming control as always. Mom's death anniversary loomed. A big ranch gathering with kin. Dad's buddies from the co-op. Louise's church group. You'll handle it this year, Dad said flatly. No ask, just order. The event had grown into a spectacle. Ironic for folks who'd ignored Mom's wishes. I dove in to distract from my failures, booking a caterer from town, renting tents for the yard, coordinating with the florist for wildflower arrangements like Mom loved. Skills from my old job, wasted on them. 2 days before, a job nibble came, a remote design role with a Seattle startup. Interview clashed with the memorial. I explained family duty. We need committed folks, they replied curtly.
Gone.
Louise found me breaking down that night. Barging in again.
See?
Too soft. Always were. Your mom babied you rotten. Her words twisted the knife. Why did she hate me so? The memorial dawned crisp. Montana's sun glinting off the Rockies. Guests arrived in pickups, milling in the yard with plates of barbecue. Louise fluttered about, wearing Mom's old turquoise bracelet like a trophy. As the day wore on, I spotted her in the house, alone with Mom's old jewelry box. Dad kept it in the den for safekeeping. She glanced around, then pocketed the silver locket, Mom's favorite with our baby photos inside. My heart stopped. I ducked back, rage boiling. But inside, doubt crept. Was I overreacting? Like they always said? You making a fuss? Dad asked later, when I confronted him quietly. Louise probably just borrowing it. Don't be dramatic. His dismissal fueled the fire. That night, alone in the cabin, I paced, inner storm raging. How long had this gone on? Mom's will, vague as it was, mentioned personal items to me and Ethan. Under Montana law, as executor, Dad had a duty to honor that. But Louise? She'd overstepped, maybe stolen before. I called Mia, voice shaking. She's taking Mom's stuff.
Mia paused.
That's theft.
Sarah.
Document it. We brainstormed. Ranch had security cams Dad installed after cattle rustlers. I accessed the feed from my laptop. Heart pounding. There it was, Louise. Clear as day. Lifting the locket. But one incident? I needed more. Digging through old emails, I found hints, Mom's sister, Aunt Peggy in Idaho, mentioning disputes over belongings post-funeral. Emily wanted you kids to have her treasures, she'd written years ago. I reached out. Peggy confirmed. Your mom told me explicitly, jewelry to Sarah on her 21st. But Tom said Louise was handling it. Too raw for him. Letters? Peggy had some scanned. Proof. Ethan called next, furious after I looped him in. Cousin Jake remembers Louise helping after Grandma's passing. Her diamond brooch vanished. A pattern. Inside. Guilt gnawed, exposing this would shatter Dad. But the hurt one, they'd shattered me first. I contacted a lawyer in Bozeman, specializing in estates free consult. S. Harlan listened, nodding. If we prove intent via will or letters, it's breach of duty. Theft if undocumented. But family cases? Messy. Gather evidence quietly. She outlined steps, records from jewelers, witness statements. Montana's inheritance laws favored clear wishes. Mom's notes could seal it. I visited local pawn shops, showing Louise's photo. At Big Sky Traders. The owner perked up.
Yeah.
Louise Jenkins sells vintage pieces regular. Says from family estates. Mom's opal ring. Gone years ago. Records required ID. Photos gold mine. Mia sent a tech-savvy friend to help back up cam footage to the cloud. Safe from accidents.
Inside.
Conflict tore at me. Was I becoming like them?
Scheming?
But no, this was justice. Reclaiming my voice. Louise grew bolder, lecturing me daily on real work, her key jangling like a threat. Overheard her on the phone. Sarah's back. Flopped at 28. What happens when you indulge kids? Her hypocrisy burned. She lived off alimony and dad's handouts, never punching a clock. As months dragged, another anniversary neared. Louise planned a blowout ranch barbecue with half the county. I'm running it, she boasted. You couldn't handle it. Little did she know. I was ready. Peggy's letters arrived. Mom's handwriting. Weak but clear. Give Sarah my locket and rings. They're her legacy of love. Ethan gathered affidavits from kin. S. Harlan prepped papers for restitution or charges. The day came sunny. Guests filling the yard. Louise in Mom's bracelet again. Presiding like queen. Dinner under tents. She stood for a toast. Emily was family to me. I've kept her memory alive. Safeguarding her things responsibly, unlike some.
Her der Emmys song.
But I held steady. As murmurs agreed, I rose. Phone linked to the projector Dad used for football games. You're right. Aunt Louise. Let's honor Mom properly. The screen lit. Footage of her pocketing the locket. Gasps rippled. That's theft, I said calmly. And not the first. Slides flipped. Pawn records. Letters. Statements. Mom wanted this for me. Legally. It's mine. The yard fell silent, save for the wind rustling the aspens. Louise's face drained of color, her hand clutching the bracelet like a lifeline. This is absurd. Tom, tell her. But Dad stood frozen by the grill, his usual authority crumbling under the stares of neighbors and co-op friends. Ethan passed out copies of Peggy's letters, his voice steady. Mom's specified. Jewelry to Sarah. Yet it vanished. Piece by piece. Inside me, a whirlwind. Triumph mixed with sorrow. This wasn't just exposure. It was forcing them to see the pain they'd ignored. Guests shifted uncomfortably. Old ranch hands. Church ladies. Even the sheriff's deputy who'd come for the food. One. Mr. Caldwell from the feed co-op. Spoke up. Wait. My ma's gold watch went missing after her funeral. Louise helped sort her things. Murmurs grew. Another chimed in about a cousin's earrings. The pattern unfolded publicly. Decades of help during grief revealed as opportunism. Louise sputtered. You're all twisting it. I was preserving family heirlooms. Sarah's too unreliable. Her defense rang hollow, echoing the dismissals she'd hurled at me. Dad finally moved, face red. Sarah, shut that down. This is private. No, I said, voice even despite the inner quake. You made it public by letting it happen. Under Montana law, as executor, you had to follow Mom's wishes. This is fraud. Breach of trust. Yes. Harlan stepped forward from the crowd. I'd invited her discreetly. We have evidence for civil suit, possibly criminal theft. But if Louise returns everything tonight, we might settle privately. The legal clarity hung heavy, no ambiguity. Just facts. Louise looked to Dad. Desperate. Tom, you know I meant well. He turned away, muttering, How could you? For the first time, I saw cracks in their alliance, his shame mirroring mine from years ago. Inside, pity stirred. Had loneliness driven her? But the hurt pushed back. No excuse for robbing the grieving. "The safe at your place," I said. "Let's go now." She nodded mutely. The fight gone. Yes. Harlan rode with her in the pickup.
Insturing no tricks.
At her cabin. The safe yawned open. Mom's locket. Rings. Even Grandma's brooch. Plus items from other kin. We catalogued each. Harlan photographing. "This was supposed to be mine," I whispered. Holding the locket. Emotions crashing. Joy at recovery. Grief for lost time. Louise watched.
Tears streaking. I
needed money after my divorce. Started small. Then, her confession hung. Incomplete. Back at the ranch. Guests had scattered. Whispers already buzzing through Bozeman's grapevine. Dad sat alone on the porch. Head in hands. Ethan brewed coffee inside. As Louise handed over the box, she met my eyes. "Sarah, I never meant to hurt you like this." Lies or truth buried under jealousy? My chest tightened. Revenge tasted bitter now. "Why dismiss me always?" I asked softly.
She sighed.
"Your mom is perfect. I envied her bond with you. Made me feel less vulnerability from her. It humanized the monster I'd built in my mind." Dad approached hesitantly. "I failed you,
Kid.
Let Louise handle too much 'cause I couldn't face the pain." His admission cracked something in me. Not full forgiveness, but a start.
We all hurt, I said.
But ignoring it made it worse. The night ended quietly. Louise left for a motel, promising restitution to others. Ethan hugged me. "You stood up."
Cease.
Proud. Next day, I packed for Denver. Mia had hooked me with a freelance gig. But before leaving, Dad and I talked on the porch. Sun warming the fields. "Therapy?" he asked awkwardly. "Maybe we try family sessions." I nodded. "Someday." Driving away, locket around my neck. I reflected, revenge had exposed truths. But healing came from understanding. The lesson? Families break. But with honesty, they mend stronger. Wait. That felt too pat. Inside, doubts lingered. Could we really fix this? But the open road ahead whispered hope. In Denver, life rebooted. Gigs turned steady. Therapy continued. Months later, Dad called. "Louise is paying back folks. Volunteering at the grief center. Says it's amends."
Pause.
"Miss you, Sarah." "Miss you too," I admitted. We scheduled a visit, not perfect, but progress. Wearing Mom's locket to a client meeting, I felt her love, proof that sensitivity wasn't weakness, but the key to empathy. The girl once silenced had found her voice, teaching us all that facing pain together beats revenge alone. But the story didn't end there. Ripples continued. Ethan graduated, moving to Missoula. But we talked weekly, bonding deeper. Louise? She reached out tentatively, sharing old photos of Mom. "We were close once," she wrote. "Sorry I let jealousy ruin it." I replied carefully. Bridges mending slow. 1 year on, we gathered small, just us.
No spectacle.
Shared real memories. Laughed.
Cried.
Dad admitted faults. Louise owned hers. Me? I forgave enough to move forward. Lesson light but profound. Revenge sparks change, but compassion sustains it. Back in Denver, the freelance gig Mia lined up blossomed into a full-time role at a boutique firm specializing in environmental campaigns, fitting for my Western roots. designing graphics for conservation efforts in the Rockies. The office overlooked the city, but my mind often wandered to Bozeman's open spaces. The inner conflict easing, but not gone. Was exposing Louise truly humane? Had I escalated drama unnecessarily? But no, the legal clarity MS. Harlan provided grounded me. Montana's probate code protected beneficiaries like me, turning vague hurts into actionable rights. Dad's calls increased. Tentative at first. "How's the city treating you?" he'd ask, skirting deeper waters. One evening, he dove in. "Louise moved to a small place in Billings. She's seeing a counselor, says it's helping with everything." I picture her alone, the smugness stripped away, and pity softened my edges. "Good for her," I replied,
Meaning it.
inside. Forgiveness battled resentment. Why now? After years? But therapy taught me holding grudges chained me too. Ethan visited Denver, crashing on my couch. Over beers. He shared. Dad's changing, reads books on grief. Even apologized to Peggy. We laughed about old ranch mishaps. But tears came when he said, "You saved us."
Sarah.
Force the mirror. His words healed a piece of me. The brother who'd whispered support as a kid now stood as ally. A package arrived from Louise, Mom's old recipe book. Annotations in her hand. Note attached. "Emily would want you to have this. I'm sorry for the jewelry." The words. All of it. Jealousy ate me. Your bond with her reminded me of what I lacked. Vulnerability raw.
No excuses.
I cried. Inner monologue raging. Forgive or forget. I chose response. Thanks. Maybe coffee sometime. Small step. But bridges start with planks. Work challenged me positively. A project on family farms hit home. Visuals capturing generational bonds. Awards followed. But fulfillment came from purpose. Using art to validate others' stories. Like mine once dismissed. Dating a ranger named Jake. His steady presence mirrored the mountains, reliable. No drama. "Your strength's in your heart," he'd say, believing my emotions without question. 6 months post-confrontation, Dad invited me home. No big event, just us. I drove. Locket warm against my skin. The ranch looked the same, but felt different, welcoming. Louise was there, nervous. Over stew, we talked real, her financial fears post-divorce. Dad's avoidance enabling it. "I stole more than jewelry," she admitted. "Stole your trust." Dad nodded. "I failed as protector." Tears flowed, mine too. "We all lost Mom," I said. "But we can choose better now." That night, stargazing on the porch, peace settled. Lesson crystallized. Revenge uncovers wounds, but empathy heals them. Families aren't perfect, but with effort, they redeem. Yet doubts whispered. Was this too easy? Therapy reminded. Healing's ongoing. Back in Denver, I volunteered at a support group for adult children of dysfunctional families. Sharing my tale. Standing up matters, I'd say. But so does extending grace. Louise visited Denver eventually. Awkward lunch turning genuine. "I envied Emily's ease with feelings," she confessed. "Made me dismiss yours." Understanding bloomed. Her own childhood rigid. Emotions taboo. Not excuse, but context. We parted with hugs. Tentative kin again. Ethan announced engagement. Wedding on the ranch. Me designing invites. Dad beamed. Therapy transforming him. "Proud of you, kid." Words I'd craved. Wearing Mom's ring to a gallery show of my work. I reflected. The locket once stolen now symbolized resilience. The girl gaslit into silence had emerged empathetic warrior. Light lesson? Pain teaches. But love redeems if we let it. The gallery buzzed. My pieces, Western landscapes infused with emotion, drawing praise. Jake squeezed my hand. This is you, raw. Real. Inside, gratitude swelled for the journey. Calls with Dad weekly now. Sharing mundane joys. Louise sent care packages, ranch honey, old photos. Small acts mending big rifts. Life balanced, work thriving, friends solid, family evolving. The western sunsets in my art reminded, storms pass, revealing clearer skies. As seasons shifted, the redemption deepened. Dad sold part of the ranch, downsizing to travel, something Mom always wanted. Your courage woke me, he said on a call. Louise volunteered more, helping widows sort estates ethically. Making amends, she texted. Ethan married, ceremony simple. Under Montana skies. I stood as witness. Locket gleaming. Toasts turned emotional, Dad admitting faults. Louise toasting my strength. You taught us family means listening. Inside, closure wrapped me. Revenge had been catalyst, but humanity the glue. Light lesson lingered, confront with care, heal with heart. No perfect endings, but better beginnings. Back in Denver, my firm promoted me, campaigns now national, advocating for rural families. Jake proposed on a hike, ring simple as prairie grass. Your depth drew me, he said. Wedding planned small, blending city and country. A year from confrontation, we gathered again, anniversary picnic.
Just core family.
Shared laughs. Stories of Mom unfiltered. No theft shadows, instead, bonds rebuilt. We almost lost this, Dad reflected. Thanks to you, Sarah. I smiled. We all saved it, wearing heirlooms freely. I felt Mom's legacy, love through generations. Resilient as western winds. The sensitive girl proved strongest, teaching that empathy turns revenge to redemption. Reflecting deeper, that picnic etched in me. Dad's eyes softened as he recounted Mom's laugh. Louise shared vulnerabilities, her own losses shaping sharpness. Ethan and his wife announced a baby, new generation, fresh start. Inside, joy battled old scars. Could I trust this piece? But action spoke. Dad's therapy notes shared. Louise's restitution complete. Work peaked with a book deal, illustrating a memoir on family healing.
Mia coautor bits.
Our friendship anchor. From drama to drama-free, she joked. Jake and I honeymooned in Yellowstone. Nature mirroring renewal. Your story inspires, he whispered. Home. We bought a condo with mountain views. Plants thriving like my old apartment. Calls with family routine. Dad's adventures. Louise's growth. Ethan's dad-to-be jitters. Holidays blended. Ranch Christmases. Denver Thanksgivings. No more dismissals, emotions welcomed.
2 years on.
Holding my niece. Locket passed for a photo. This is love's chain, I told her. Inner peace solid. I'd avenged. But more.
Ide humaniza.
Lesson light. Families falter. But forgiveness forges forward. The western horizons stretched endless. Like possibilities. Mom's spirit felt close. Approving. I'd fought for truth. Found grace. That, more than any heirloom, was victory.